What's up, you guys? I am Tony Metro. Welcome to the stream. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Mets missing on relief pitcher Trevor Richards and whether or not they should pursue free agent starting pitcher Taijuan Walker. Like I mentioned, I'm your host, Tony Metro. Cover all the latest news in Major League Baseball and the New York Mets. Just today, you guys might have seen, I posted a video about shit Mets fans say, which actually blew up pretty big on Twitter, and Barstool ended up posting it. So I wanted to take a second to thank all of you guys for the support and all the camaraderie that we shared, because it really, all Mets fans, really, we share the same brain. We are all sick people, and we enjoy the pain and the misery that Mets fans, or that the Mets put us through as fans. So I appreciate all you guys, liking that, giving me comments, telling me, oh, I've said that a million times in my life, or, I've said so much of this. So I really appreciate that from you guys. But, I want to just talk a little bit about today's events. Today was the second day of pitchers and catchers. So things are starting to heat up. We're starting to see the pitchers come to camp, start throwing their first bullpen sessions, which really doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. For the most part, there's a few guys where you want to keep an eye on them, particularly someone like Noah Syndergaard, who's rehabbing from Tommy John surgery, or in the case of, say, the New York Yankees, someone like Severino, although I know he's a little bit further behind than Noah Syndergaard in his rehab. The thing about the Mets today, at least, though, is that another free agent has bypassed them and gone to another team, and that being Trevor Richards. The Mets were Trevor Rosenthal. The Mets were connected to Rosenthal throughout the offseason. As recently as Monday of this week, we heard a report from Andy Martino that the Mets were in on Rosenthal and in close talks with his camp. Now, not close talks in the sense that they were close to striking a deal, but that they had kept up with him and that they were, checking on his price tag, seeing what he was looking for. So Rosenthal ended up signing a deal with the Oakland Athletics, and that kind of hurt because, we really could have used Rosenthal, especially after losing Seth Lugo now for a couple of months, at least the first month, maybe two, as I try to fix my camera right here. Sorry, guys. Trying to post a thumbnail for this so you guys know what I'm talking about and get an idea of it before you even click. But, the Mets really could have used Trevor Rosenthal, because I always want to call him Richard. I don't know why. Don't blame me for that. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. I'm terrible, actually. But the Mets really could have used Rosenthal. Seth Lugo, of course, just found a loose body in his arm. Of course, Seth Lugo has been pitching with a partially torn UCL, which is basically the muscle in his arm that pitchers require Tommy John surgery for when it is a complete tear. So that's the reason why the Mets have been so cautious with Noah Syndergaard, or rather Seth Lugo, and that's why they have not really pushed him 2-3 days in a row for the most part. So to me personally, really would have liked to see Seth Lugo, and that's why they have back. I think I'm back at least. Okay, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, like I was saying, the Mets really could have used Trevor Rosenthal. Now, basically, he just signed with the Oakland Athletics, who really had a quiet offseason. I actually gave them a D- in my most recent video where I graded all of the team's off seasons for 2021. That's because they really didn't do a whole lot. They lost Liam Hendricks. They lost Marcus Semien, Mike Minor, as well as one other guy who's escaping me right now, Robbie Grossman. And so, while Robbie Grossman and Mike Minor really were not big losses, Liam Hendricks and Marcus Semien were, and it was kind of to be expected. The Athletics, of course, are balling on a budget. So, I didn't really ever see them bringing those guys back, especially considering the contracts that they did end up commanding in free agency. Trevor Rosenthal comes in now and gets a 1-year, $11 million deal. Now, last year with San Diego Padres, Rosenthal had 11 saves, a 1.90 ERA in 23 appearances. He was previously with Kansas City and then got traded to San Diego. They acquired him on August 29th. And he was doing pretty well with the team. And so it looks like some of the money is actually deferred on this contract for Rosenthal, meaning he'll probably get 2 or 3 million of that 11 million total in the next coming years. So this was definitely something that I feel was feasible for the Mets to do if they were looking to improve their bullpen, which I feel like they should be. Losing Seth Lugo really is going to hurt this team, even if it's only for a month. Right now, that bullpen looks basically like Edwin Diaz, Yuris Familia, Dellin Betances. Robert Gesellman at this point probably gets a roster spot, which to me is just beyond me. I don't know how, because I feel like he should have been cut years ago. Same goes for, I guess now, not same goes for, but we do now have Trevor May in the bullpen, who should be a pretty solid reliever, at least based on his track record with Minnesota. And for the most part, I don't have a lot of confidence in most of these guys. I feel like Edwin Diaz pitched much better last year, but really wasn't, anything all too impressive when you take into consideration the fact that there were no fans in the stands. And for the most part, Edwin Diaz did melt under pressure. When there was a big pressure situation, Edwin Diaz couldn't get the big out. So for me, I'm still not sold on Diaz. Betances' velocity was down significantly last year, never really picked it up. We had heard coming over from the Yankees that for Dellin Betances that it took a long time for him to get his velocity up. But it never really happened last year. So I don't have a lot of faith in him. That's why I feel like bringing in Rosenthal would have been a good move. And, $11 million is a lot of money. I think the bigger thing, however, is that he wanted to be the closer. The Mets weren't willing to commit to the closer role for Rosenthal, and previously in free agency for Brad Hand. That's why he ended up signing with the Washington Nationals. So for me, it's disappointing, but I do understand. Now pivoting, the Mets have also been rumored to be linked to Taijuan Walker, the starting pitcher, who's also a free agent right now. And Taijuan Walker's actually been, one of those guys who came up with a lot of hype with the Seattle Mariners. Unfortunately, it hasn't really all come together for Walker. But according to the New York Post, as of just 23 hours ago, so today, Taijuan Walker on Mets free agency radar. CBS Sports, Mets have serious interest in Taijuan Walker. SMY TV, Mets have serious interest in free agent pitcher Taijuan Walker. I don't know if it's going to happen, honestly. The way that the trend of the offseason so far has been that the Mets have serious interest in so-and-so and really want to bring in this guy, but they end up not bringing the person in. They get outbid by another team. Now, I understand, because the Mets are also looking to keep enough money to be able to extend Francisco Lindor, Michael Conforto, hopefully, and maybe even Noah Syndergaard, who's going to be a free agent after this season. Syndergaard, of course, is rehabbing from Tommy John surgery, so we don't know what we will get for him or what a potential extension for Noah Syndergaard will look like. But this would have been a deal for Rosenthal, at least, at $11 million, that the Mets could have done, stayed under the luxury tax for 2021, and still done those other things. But he's gone now, unfortunately, something of the past, nothing to even think about in case of the Mets. Now it's looking on to Taijuan Walker, who supposedly is looking for a multi-year contract of $10 million or more annually, which I don't think he's worth that. I don't think he's really put up those kinds of numbers. But I got to be honest, the free agent starting pitcher market has surprised me. Guys that I didn't think would be getting big paydays have actually got quite a bit more money than I expected them to. Corey Kluber's one example, got $11 million with the Yankees, pitched 34 innings over the last 2 years. Same could be said for Jay Happ. I think he got $10 million per season. Jake Arrieta, who really hasn't been good in 3 years, got $6.5 million per year. So I understand Taijuan Walker, who's coming off arguably the best season of his career, asking for $10 million per year. I don't agree with the whole idea of giving him a multi-year contract, but I understand from his perspective why he wants that. So he can have that safety net, not have to worry about entering free agency again next year or the year after that. But personally for me, I wouldn't be willing to give him more than a 2-year contract and see what he's made of. He's pitched with a few different teams throughout his career, but mainly it's been Seattle as well as Toronto last year. Then he got traded to Seattle, or vice versa, Seattle then to Toronto. And of course, he also pitched with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So let's go take a look at Taijuan Walker and his baseball reference numbers in 2020. So in 2020 with Seattle and Toronto, he made a combined 11 starts, had a 4.00 ERA with the Mariners, and then when he went over to Toronto, made 6 starts, had a 1.37 ERA in 26 and a third innings pitched. WHIP was 1.25. His home run per 9 was 1, and strikeouts per 9, 8.5. Which was pretty in line with his career norm for the most part. So for me personally, I'm not sure if I'd go more than a 2-year deal for Taijuan Walker. I think that's probably the max that I'd be willing to go to at least. I don't really think I want to break the bank on a guy that's really not proven. And that's my personal opinion. Now, do the Mets need some more starting pitching depth? Absolutely. Right now, as it stands, we have Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, Marcus Stroman, David Peterson, and then probably Joey Lucchesi as our 5th starter for the time being. Now, that's up until Noah Syndergaard hopefully returns from Tommy John surgery, which most people are expecting to be around May, maybe June at the latest. Other than that, there's Jordan Yamamoto, Trevor Richardson, who the Mets signed to a major league contract, and a few other guys who, could come in and make a couple spot starts. So could the Mets use Taijuan Walker? Absolutely. And, if it comes down to it and the price is right, yes, I would definitely sign him. That being said, I'm not going to sign him for a 5-year deal, 3-year deal, even if it means paying him $10 million annually. So for me, I'm just not crazy about that idea. Frankie Diaz, what's up, my man? I appreciate you checking in. How you doing, bro? Good to see you. Taijuan Walker would be a nice addition. I'm just not really sure that he's, worth a multi-year deal, which is what he's asking for right now in free agency. I don't know if you guys saw, but just a couple of days ago, first day of spring training, Taijuan Walker's posting a picture on his Twitter of the golf course. He's basically asking for a team to sign him. And as much as I love him, just not so sure he's worth a multi-year deal. So John Talento, how you doing, man? Welcome to the chat. I appreciate you checking in. What do I think about Luis Castillo? I think it's going to take a lot, unfortunately, for the Mets. I feel like they're going to be asking immediately for the Mets' number 1 prospect, who is catcher Francisco Alvarez. That seems to be what every team is asking for with the Mets in terms of a trade. If it was Chris Bryant, Luis Castillo, Eugenio Suarez, any of those guys, they're asking the Mets for Francisco Alvarez because, number 1, he's probably the Mets' best prospect as it stands right now. Number 2, the catcher position is so devoid of talent in Major League Baseball that everyone is looking to try to find the next big thing, the next big catcher. So Francisco Alvarez right now, he's young, he's 19 years old, he's out of Venezuela. All the things about him have been great. He's ranked the 53rd prospect in baseball's top 100 prospects, according to Baseball America, who I hold in the highest regard as far as prospect ranking. So everything checks out on him. He's just young. So I think it's going to take at least Francisco Alvarez and then some more to try to get a guy like Luis Castillo, someone of his stature. So I personally would not be willing to do that. Yes, Luis Castillo would be nice. It'd give the Mets one of the best rotations in baseball, probably one that goes toe-to-toe with the Dodgers or with the Padres. But I'm personally more concerned, as you guys, if you've watched my streams, would know, that I am very concerned more so about third base and even center field defense. I love Brandon Nimmo. I think he's more of a left fielder, though. At this point now, after signing Kevin Pillar to a major league contract, after signing Albert Almora Jr. to a minor league contract, those are probably going to be center fielders for this season. It'll be a mix and match of Pillar, Nimmo, and if Almora makes the team, playing center field. And those latter two guys will be coming in for defensive purposes for Brandon Nimmo. As far as third base, obviously we heard a lot of rumors about Chris Bryant. It doesn't really seem like the Cubs want to trade Chris Bryant, and I can understand why. Obviously, face of the franchise, that organization is transitioning right now from Theo Epstein to Jed Hoyer. I think it's a big image thing. They don't want to come in and their first move as the new GM, at least for Jed Hoyer, is to trade Chris Bryant or Javi Baez or Anthony Rizzo or Contreras. Obviously, they already traded Yu Darvish, which I was a big advocate of just because of his age and just, I thought, though, however, they actually did very poorly in that trade. I don't think they made, I don't think they got enough value for Darvish, who was, second in Cy Young voting behind Trevor Bauer last year. That all being said, I feel like the Mets are going to have to pay quite a bit for a guy like Luis Castillo, who many, pundits put as one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball, and is still under many years of control. So how serious is Chapman's hip issue, according to Esco is real? Take a look at this, because I did make a stream about Matt Chapman and Mets potentially trading for him the other night. And I did hear about his hip issue, but I never really actually into it. So let me take a look at this real quick and see what they have to say about it. Matt Chapman hip. All right. So 2 days ago, according to CBS Sports, Matt Chapman expected to be full go from the jump. So let's see what that injury was particularly. And, somebody actually mentioned this a couple of days ago. And, I can't really find a whole lot just from Googling it. But someone did mention another player actually had that same hip issue as Matt Chapman. So, for me personally, I don't care. I'm still trading for Matt Chapman if the price is right, which I don't know what the price is. It's probably going to be high. Matt Chapman, one of the best, if not the best third baseman in baseball. For me, I still think Nolan Arenado is, but I'm willing to trade for Matt Chapman if the price is right. I was suggesting the other day, because the Mets signed Kevin Pillar and because the Mets signed Albert Almora Jr., they were trying to do a Moneyball version of creating Brandon Nimmo in center field, trading Nimmo to the Athletics for Matt Chapman. Obviously, the Athletics would love Nimmo, so I figured, maybe that makes some sense. But I'm not so sure that the A's want to trade Chapman, especially after just bringing in Rosenthal. I don't really see them actually trading Chapman. It kind of would signal, almost like a rebuild or a signal of they're not going to be competitive this season. So we'll see about that. Mets fan only. What's up, my man? Appreciate you coming. If you guys don't watch our live streams, Mets fans only hosts it on his channel. Me, Jolly Olive. Mets fans from YouTube, Frank About Sports, a few other guests come in every single Thursday at 3 or 4 p.m. 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm on the West Coast, but 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern time. We talk about all things Major League Baseball and New York Mets. So we'd love to have you check out my Twitter account, which is Tony Metro MLB, where I post the live links to that every Thursday night, 6 or 7 p.m. Just completely depends on, how the week is going for all of us. SBFM, what's up, my man? I appreciate you checking in. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. And John Talento, another loyal guy. You guys are awesome. Getting back to the main topic of this stream, Taijuan Walker would be a great addition. Let's go take a look again. I want to see some of his metrics and see how he fared last year. Like I spent the beginning of the season with the Seattle Mariners, who he came up with. And a lot of people had high praise for him. They were expecting him to be like the next King Felix, the next Felix Hernandez. Fortunately, hasn't really panned out for Taijuan Walker. However, he did have a very strong 2020 season where he spent time with the Mariners as well as the Toronto Blues. First half with the Mariners was not tremendous. He had a 4 ERA, like I said, but then he went over to the Blue Jays. His ERA was under 2. I think it was 1.27, as I mentioned. So he really might have put it together. I'm personally willing to give the guy a 1-year deal, even a 2-year deal, depending on the average annual value that he's commanding. However, I'm not going to go anything past that. And at this point in his career, I really do truly believe that he's trying to capitalize on that big second half that he had with the Toronto Blue Jays. So just looking at 2020, he really doesn't rank in any of the top 50 percentiles as far as his pitching metrics. The only one he does is his hard hit percentage, which was 74%, the 74th percentile. So that was pretty good. You love to see that, obviously, but what does it mean in the grand scheme of things? Is that the guy that he's going to be moving forward? Is that just kind of blind luck, or what is it exactly? So I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. We're going to go over to Baseball Savant so you guys can take a look. Oh no, don't look at that. We're going to look over here and let's take a look at that out of here. So as I mentioned, his 2020 percentiles, nothing extremely impressive jumps out other than his hard to hit percentage, which was in the 74th percentile. Fastball velo was low. Whiff percentage was very low, 13%. Mets fan from YouTube would do a much better job of breaking all of this down for me. And if you guys don't already sub to him or follow him, check out Mets fan from YouTube. He is a metric and analytic nut, and he knows how to break all this stuff down much better than I do. But as you can see here, further to the right is very good. This way, such as whiff percentage, not so good. All right, you can tell right here, this is the graph that you base all these off of. So poor, average to great. So very cold, hot, but that's really the only one. Backing it up to go to 2017. For some reason, it doesn't have 18 or 19 on here for him, but more of the same. Very low metric numbers. Hard hit percentage, in fact, was down to barrel percentage was much better that year, but for the most part, his metrics really don't impress me all too much. So he wouldn't be a guy that I'm willing to the bank on, especially when it seems like the Mets have a lot of pitching depth and might have at least 5 guys that are not already in the start rotation that could step in anytime and pitch for this team and make some starts. So has a 5-pitch arsenal. He goes 4-seam fastball, cutter, split finger, sinker, and his curveball. Mixes them in all pretty well. Fastball's 38%, which is pretty standard. Cutter 21%, finger 18%, sinker 11%, and throws his curveball 10% of the time. You can also take a look at the hot charts here, or hot graphs. I don't know if you want to call them, but it looks like when he's obviously putting it down the middle, he's getting tattooed. When he's even down and in, getting tattooed, at least as the righty here, as you can see. So it just kind of seems like maybe his stuff isn't really all that impressive to me, at least based on what I'm seeing here on his metrics and on his hot charts. Similar pitches to Taijuan Walker based on velocity and movement. Tyler Mahle, Masahiro Tanaka, Jack Flaherty in 2020. Okay, so Flaherty would be a guy that typically I'd be very impressed with, but if I remember correctly, Jack Flaherty really didn't have the best season of his career in 2020. He was actually a dark horse candidate for me as far as winning the Cy Young in 2020, but obviously, as you can see here, ERA was at 4.91 for 2020, so not so great. I know that the Cardinals had some really, interesting, weird schedule changes with COVID and all that after they played the Marlins, but even on Flaherty, you can see his percentiles are much better than that of Taijuan Walker's. Not all of them, but many of them are in the red. Exit velo 61 percentile, which isn't great, but at least it's in the red, over 50%. Hard hit percentage 79th percentile, which is higher than Taijuan Walker's from 2020. K percentage is high. Whiff percentage 88%. That's nice to see, really high. Fastball velo pretty high. So just comparing these two guys, immediately, a guy like Flaherty, who I know is a much better pitcher, jumps more off the chart to me than, say, Taijuan Walker. Now, obviously, like I said, Taijuan Walker is not the same pitcher that, Jack Flaherty is, but at the same time, just based on the fact that they, compare those two pitchers on Baseball Savant and say, hey, this guy might have similar pitches to that guy, it kind of tells me, yeah, but this guy gets hit much harder, or this guy doesn't, particularly well against this particular type of hitter. And that's telling to me, for me personally, I'm not going to get wrapped up in the analytics, go too deep into the, so, that's just how I feel. Let me go over here to the chat section. We got Mr. Mojo Raisin. If Mets are unable to trade Familia and Betances, which relievers are on the opening day? Well, right now at the moment, it's, with Seth Lugo on DL to start the year, it'll probably be Trevor May, Edwin Diaz, Seth Lugo. I'm sorry, not Seth Lugo. Dellin Betances, Yuris Familia, Robert Gesellman is probably getting on the team at that point, which is unfortunate in my opinion. Aaron Loop, and then it'll be one of, I'm assuming it'll be Joey Lucchesi or Jordan Yamamoto. If the Mets don't sign Taijuan Walker, Joey Lucchesi probably stays as the fifth starting pitcher for the Mets, and maybe Yamamoto goes to the bullpen. So team is starting to get a little bit in already, with Lugo going down and not really making a lot of additions to the bullpen like I expected. Team's looking a little thin to me, and I would really like to see the Mets add some more relief and starting pitching to the roster before opening day. Getting late, the clock down, it's coming. It's coming very fast. Andrew Acevedo, what's up, man? Celebrity, thank you, dude. I appreciate that very much. If you guys don't know, Andrew's referring to my video that was posted on Barstool Sports today, which was me saying shit that Mets fans say. If you guys haven't already checked that out, go to my Twitter, go to my Instagram, Tony Metro MLB, or go to Barstool NYC. Basically just talking about, all the stuff that we as Mets fans say throughout the season. And I appreciate all you guys watching that. I appreciate you guys all, having a laugh and relating to it, because we as Mets fans are sick. We are sick individuals. We love the pain. I don't know why, but we keep coming back. It's an addiction. So I appreciate that, and thank you, Andrew Acevedo. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, another YouTuber who makes some great content for the New York Mets. Also a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan for all you who like the NHL. So Andrew Acevedo, wow. Maniac Matt, what up? Tony Metro, what's going on, my man? I appreciate you checking in. How you doing? Mike Gale, my guy, how you doing? What's going on, bro? Loyal guys in here. I love it. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Michael asks, would you do Vientos, Mauricio, Davis for Suarez and Gray? So I've made it clear I'm not a huge fan of Eugenio Suarez or even Sonny Gray, really, for that matter. Now, that being said, Sonny Gray has obviously proven that pitching with the Yankees was his downfall. They tried to change the way he pitched, the types of pitches he threw in certain situations. He said that they asked him to throw a lot of breaking balls and that it wasn't really the way he liked to pitch, and that's why he didn't fare so well there. I don't think it's a thing about, being in New York, which a lot of people want to cite. I feel like if he came to the Mets, he'd be fine. He'd be maybe even very good. As for Eugenio Suarez, I'm just not too keen on him. I feel like him coming to Citi Field, a place that's not exactly friendly to right-handed power hitters, would not work out so well. And at the end of the day, I'm just not sure how much of an upgrade he is to J.D. Davis as a defensive third baseman. So for me personally, I wouldn't want to make that trade. I think it's actually a fair trade you're proposing there, Michael. I think Vientos, Mauricio, Davis, good trade for the Mets because they're getting Suarez, they're getting Gray. They have now a great rotation, not just good. They also now have a legitimate starting third baseman who hit 49 home runs at Great American Ballpark in Cincy. Disclaimer, big time hitter friendly ballpark. That's another concern of mine for Suarez. And as far as the Reds, they're getting J.D. Davis, who's a placeholder for now, who they could potentially flip if they're not contending this year, which I don't expect them to. They're getting Mauricio, Mets' #1 prospect. They're getting Mark Vientos, who I don't really know what he's going to be, but for me, it kind of seems like he's going to be another carbon copy of J.D. Davis. He's not by any account a great fielding third baseman. I don't think he's a huge power hitter at this point. He might develop into it. He's 6'3", 180 pounds. He's pretty svelte. I'm not sure he's going to be like a 30 home run guy. He might only be like a 15 to 20 guy at his ceiling. But I think that is a fair trade that works for both guys or both teams. Mr. Mojo raising Gazelman as a minor league option. Oh, and Miguel Castro will be in the bullpen. Very good point. Miguel Castro will be in this bullpen as well, most likely. I don't see the Mets cutting him because another team would probably pick him up. He has a very lively arm, even though it didn't really impress me all too much last year. And then, Drew Smith, who, if you guys aren't subscribed to Jolly Olive, be sure to check him out. He's got another great YouTube channel, and we also do streams with him. He just did an interview with Drew Smith and spoke with him. And he's very high on Drew Smith. He thinks he's going to have a great season. So, I think that'd probably round out the bullpen with the last two spots in Miguel Castro and Drew Smith. Right now, my mind is like completely blank on, the bullpen after losing Seth Lugo and now on Trevor Rosenthal, which is unfortunate because I think he would have been a great fit, just like Brad Hand. I don't know what the Mets' plan is. Do you guys think they're going to go to a committee, like kind of just, whoever matches up the best on any particular night or inning is going to get the call, for the 8th and the 9th? Or do you guys think they're going to have Edwin Diaz closing games right now until Seth Lugo returns? To me, it kind of seems like they are going to have Edwin Diaz, the 9th inning man. I'm not sure, and I'm very interested to see the communication between Sandy Alderson and Luis Rojas, or whoever is in the front office, and Luis Rojas. If you guys don't remember, Luis Rojas, his previous role with the team, I don't remember the exact title, but basically his responsibilities was relaying analytics from the front office to the dugout. So when he got made the manager last year, I was actually excited. I thought, this is great. He already has a great grip on analytics, on how to do things. Can he manage the game? Because, he already had 5 or 6 different seasons of minor league managing experience. Now, can he put it all together? Last year, I don't really think it's fair to judge Rojas. 60-game season, weird circumstances. But right now, I got to see something out of him to be impressed and really, have faith in Luis Rojas as manager. But it will be interesting to see how Alderson and the front office, commit and, communicate with Rojas during the game. Let's keep looking here. Michael, what does Michael have to say? I like Suarez. What Alonso does. I like Suarez. Look what Alonso does. Okay. That's the thing, though. I don't want to be too one-dimensional. Pete Alonso could be a 40 home run guy, but he might only hit 230. I'd like to get a third baseman, like Chris Bryant, who has the potential to hit 280, 290. A guy like Turner who can hit 320. Or even before that, and before he got traded, Nolan Arenado, who can potentially hit 300, and have like a guy that doesn't always have to hit a home run to be productive in the lineup. So I like Suarez. I think he's a good player. I really just have a feeling about him not succeeding in New York. It's a gut feeling. I'll be honest with you. I really just have a gut feeling of Suarez not being able to succeed here in New York. But I could be wrong. If they do trade for him and it's a fair trade for the Mets and, they didn't get burned on it, I will 100% be rooting for him until I am proven wrong and, or proven correct and he's not performing for the team. Let's see. What else do we have here? Mr. Mojo raising bullpen by committee with analytics. May and Loop could get saves. Yeah, I expect May to be in some opportunities to get saves. I think Diaz will. I think maybe even Familia and Betances, depending on how they look in spring training. Interesting thing about Loop just came out today, said that he's willing to be an opener for this team. I believe also just yesterday or the day before that Sandy Alderson or someone in the front office stated that they are open to using openers in 2021. And that's going to be something that I think a lot of teams toy with just because of the way that 2020 ended and based on the way spring training's going so far. There's probably going to be a lot of injuries, a lot of setbacks, or just slow starts. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of teams using openers. So the fact that Aaron Loop has already stated, hey, you guys want to use me that way? I'm good with it. I love that about him already. Immediately love that he's being a team player. So let's see how that plays out. Moth, man, my guy, I saw you in the chat earlier. I'm sorry. I don't have the ability to message you in the chat on our stream. So I'm sorry, but I saw all your messages. I appreciate you checking in, man. Thank you so much. Seems like we missed out on a lot of free agents. I'm one confused Mets fan. Well, welcome to the club, Moth, man. We're all very confused. If you're a Mets fan and you're not sick in the head, then you're probably not actually a Mets fan, because I know personally me, I just love the pain this team delivers to me year in and year out. I'm hoping that changes now, but that's the whole inspiration of the video I made today that went on Barstool. I'm a little confused myself. I really thought we would have got Brad Hand. I really thought we were going to get Justin Wilson. And now we're rumored to be in on Taijuan Walker, but we also just saw Trevor Rosenthal leave for another team. So I don't know. Maybe Sandy's working on a big trade. I thought that was the case, but that was 2 weeks ago after Hand left, after Will signed with the Yankees earlier this week, and now Rosenthal going to the Athletics. So I don't know if a trade's actually going to happen at this point, but I'm hoping something does, because this roster as currently constructed is good. Not great. It's very good, but I still have an issue with third base and the bullpen. Center field, fine. I'm willing to live with Kevin Pillar, Nimmo, all those guys. But third base and the bullpen, they got me concerned. That's just to say the least. So that's just me. Michael Magale, and Brian is a rental. Suarez has a great contract. That's true. That's why I believe that Suarez will cost a lot more than Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant being a rental, a.k.a. free agency next year, the Mets could probably get him on a much cheaper deal in a trade than they could for Suarez. Suarez does have a team-friendly contract, and that bodes in the Reds' favor as far as trying to construct a trade with the Mets or with another team. Chris Bryant, on the other hand, he's due $19.5 million this year. If the Mets did trade for him and he walked next year in free agency, Mets can recoup that value potentially in a qualifying offer draft pick, because I doubt he's signing a qualifying offer, being a Scott Boras client. He's probably looking to get his big payday next year. Maybe he should take a look at what's happening to Jackie Bradley Jr. right now, because another Scott Boras client, that's not working out so well. Let's see. Mr. Mojo raising once again. How about Yamamoto and Lucchesi as openers if they are not in the rotation on opening day? Yeah, well, I think Lucchesi will be in the rotation. I mean, if things stand the way they are right now, they don't sign Taijuan Walker. If they don't sign Taijuan Walker, then yeah, I think that Lucchesi will be in the opening day rotation as the number 5 up until Syndergaard returns. Yamamoto, depending on, again, how the rest of the offseason goes, he'll probably start the season in AAA. Again, there are injuries that occur in spring training. There's, people that perform better than other guys and make the team over the guys that you thought would have made the team. But at this moment, I'd say Lucchesi's the number 5 starter. Yamamoto is slated to start the season in AAA. And if he performs well, he'll probably be the first man up for a starting opportunity with the big league club. So let's go back to Michael. And Suarez is a solid defender. -4 DRS in 2020. Davis had +18. So negative defensive run saved is bad. Plus defensive run saved is good. So I think you meant that Suarez had +4 defensive run saved. Davis had -18 defensive run saved, which sounds about right. Davis is not a very good fielding third baseman, unfortunately. If he was, I would feel very comfortable with him as the starting third baseman, but he's really not all that solid there. His throwing is a little weak over there. He has a great arm, but very inaccurate. And then you got Suarez, who I think, he might have had a good year last year, but I don't think he's, over a real full 162 game season, any type of stalwart defensive third baseman. So as much as I like him, I just don't think he's the guy I want for 3 or 4 years at third base necessarily. And even if you want to bring up the idea, hey, the DH is coming, okay, but we already have too many guys that don't have a position that need the DH, like Dom Smith, Pete Alonso, J.D. Davis even. So, for me, Eugenio Suarez, if he comes on the team and it's a fair trade, I'll be happy about it. But at this moment, he's not my first target at all. He's definitely not the guy that I'm most, impressed with as far as third baseman. Patch Waiter, what's up, man? How you doing? He likes Yamamoto. Yeah, Yamamoto's pretty good looking. I mean, honestly, I was surprised that the Mets even traded for him because, when he came up, he really shut the Mets down while he was with the Marlins in a start. If I remember correctly, it was 2019. And I was like, okay, Marlins are about to have a pretty good starting rotation, with Sixto Sanchez and all those other guys. I thought Yamamoto was a part of that core. Now, maybe I was wrong and I was misled and he'd already had a long rope, didn't pitch well with the team. And I haven't looked at all of his major league numbers. All I know is he's a relatively young guy. And, anytime that you can get some starting pitching depth, love it. And the fact that he's also young, love that as well. And I'm hoping that the Mets will continue to invest in analytics to better improve their players and specifically their pitching. If you guys didn't know this, the Wilpon ownership actually declined to have a specific type of technology for their starting pitchers, or rather all their pitchers, because it costs like $20,000, which to us might be a lot of money, but to a Major League Baseball team, that's pennies. And the Mets, under the Wilpons, were not willing to pay for that. Their analytics department was all of 4 people. So I'm hoping that Steve Cohen, as he stated in his beginning press conference, will make his promise come true as, developing and continuing to invest in analytics that will help improve the team and the players and the pitching, not like the Wilpons were doing. So that is what I'm looking forward to most. And I think Yamamoto might be a guy that benefits from that. Mr. Mojo Raisin, once again, without a DH, Mets need a larger bench, but that means less relievers. Who makes the team as bench guys? How many? 7 relievers and 5 on the bench? So 26-man roster. I believe there's a cap on the amount of pitchers you can have on those 26-man rosters, meaning you can have 13 pitchers. So 5 starting pitchers, 7 in the bullpen at any given time. So like I was saying, it sounds it's going to be, at least without Seth Lugo while he's injured. Let me get this off here real quick. Edwin Diaz, Yuris Familia, Dylan Betances, Aaron Loop, Trevor May, Miguel Castro, and maybe Drew Smith, someone like that, or Jordan Yamamoto. That would be the 7. Then for the bench, let's just pretend that the starting lineup is James McCann at catcher, Pete Alonso at first, Jeff McNeil at second base, Francisco Lindor at short, J.D. Davis at third, Dom Smith in left, Brandon Nimmo center, Michael Conforto in right. Okay. Now we have to give a bench spot to Kevin Pillar. They signed him to a major league contract, which I didn't really agree with. But they got to give one to Kevin Pillar for the bench. Then they're going to have to obviously have a backup catcher. That's Tomas Nido. Other than that, let's see. Jonathan VR is another guy. So that's 3. Now we need 2 more. Probably going to be Luis Guillorme. He can play shortstop. He can play second base. A lot of people are very hyped about Guillorme because he had a pretty good second half last year in 102 at-bats. I mean, I roll my eyes because I think Guillorme is a fine player. I just don't think he's a difference maker on the field for the most part. A guy that, like, as your 26th man on the roster is fine to have because he has a good glove, occasionally gets some good hits, but he'll probably be one of those guys as well. So who's the last person on the bench? Let's think about this for a second. Anybody that I'm missing, we got Tomas Nido, Kevin Pillar, Jonathan VR, Luis Guillorme, and who would be that last person on the bench? Who am I missing right here? I'm going to need some help from the chat right now because I'm blanking right now. There's got to be someone that I'm forgetting about, someone that they signed. I mean, it could be Albert Almora Jr. He obviously signed for a minor league deal. Not sure if it'll be him. It could also be a guy like Malik Smith, who they signed to a minor league deal, another outfielder. Could be Khalil Lee, who they just acquired in the trade with the Royals and the Red Sox, the Mets' now 7th overall prospect in their farm system. And he's ready to debut or come up and play in the big leagues very soon in 2021. If you guys could think about who the next guy, oh, and you know what? That's a great point there, Despo. Despo7 says Martinez, as in Jose Martinez. Maybe Jose Martinez makes the team. They brought in Jose Martinez, who's played some first base, played some outfield, defensive liability, but hits left-handed pitching like it's his job. And the Mets are devoid of guys that hit left-handed pitching for the most part because we're a lefty-heavy lineup. So maybe Jose Martinez is that guy that comes in and makes the fifth spot on the bench. Personally, I feel like we might be losing a little bit of flexibility by bringing in a guy like Martinez to be the bench guy. I'd rather not have to see him much this year unless we're desperately in need of a body. But you know what? You know, the way the offseason's gone, we didn't make as many moves as I thought we were going to make. So if Martinez is that guy, I wouldn't be surprised. That's a great point right there, Despo. Very well done. Heredia is another guy. Very good point there, Mr. Mojo Raisin. Heredia has remained on this roster for reasons I can't tell you. But obviously, Sandy Alderson and the Mets see something in him. He's an outfielder, guy that played a little bit of time with the Mets in 2020. And, you know, wasn't terrible, honestly. Played pretty well for the team. Had a couple hits, couple big hits, and, you know, plays a decent outfield. So maybe Heredia is that guy. I wouldn't hate that, but at the same time, would have to have seen the Mets actually go after a guy like Brad Miller, who just signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. I was advocating for that last year because Brad Miller can play, I think, like 7 different positions. Almost every position except pitcher and catcher, Brad Miller can play it. And he also has a little bit of pop, but he's gone, re-signed with the Phillies, so we can forget about that. But yeah, I think that's going to be the team right there as far as bullpen and bench. I mentioned all those guys in the bullpen, mentioned all those guys on the bench. Malik Smith is another guy that a lot of you are talking about as far as like his speed and like what he can do. MG right here says Malik is an X factor, speed off the bench. Love having some speed off the bench. I don't know. How do you guys feel about stolen bases? Because me personally, I still think they're important in the grand scheme of things. I really do. I'm not saying that a team that has more stolen bases than another team at the end of the year is better or, you know, has a better chance of winning more games. I'm just saying in the context of each individual game, having a guy that can go on the bases, pinch run, and steal bases is important. And equally as important is a guy that can get on the bases, and drive the opposing defense crazy. Because we as Mets fans have seen the Mets get run all over the last 4 or 5 years. Part of that's been our catchers who just can't throw anyone out. And part of it has been the fact that our pitching, for the most part, seem to have very slow deliveries and don't control the run game very well. Even Jacob deGrom, who's excellent, probably the best, is the best pitcher in baseball. Even he doesn't control the running game so well. So me personally, I find it important. How do you guys feel about that? Let me know in this section over here. I think it's over here. I don't know if the things are reversed, but whatever side it's on, let me know in the comment section over there. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Malik Smith. And in fact, you know what's interesting? He was a guy that I remember when the Mets made that dumb trade for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano, that a lot of Mets fans really wanted to be included on the trade. And he was having a very good season with the Seattle Mariners in 2018, or he did have a very good season with them. Let's take a look at his stats, and I'll share my screen with you guys so you could take a look and see what he did with them in 2018, which was the season before the Mets traded for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano, which obviously in hindsight we all know was a terrible trade. So coming up, let's go over here. Let's close that out. Here we go. We're doing things. We're doing things, guys. Thank you all, by the way, for checking in. I appreciate it. I am Tony Metro. It seems like you guys are all the loyal subscribers and followers, and I appreciate you guys always checking in. If you're not already subbed to my channel, though, be sure to leave the stream a like and subscribe to my channel. Also, check out the video I posted today that Barstool NYC posted for me. Shit that Mets fans say, which is typically like, oh, they're bringing in Familia or Shea Stadium. Now that was a ballpark. I was just kind of having some fun, and I really loved, how everybody reacted to it and seemed to enjoy it. So check that out as well. But thank you to all you guys for checking in tonight. You guys are my loyal subs, my loyal subscribers, and really appreciate it. All right, let's get to Malik Smith over here. Can't teach speed. You're absolutely correct about that, MG. Let's take a look here. So 2018, like that, He was in Tampa Bay, got traded to Seattle during that offseason, and Mets fans really wanted him to be included in this trade when we were sending Clinic. So looking at 2018, the highlighted row right here, 296 average, 367 OBP, 406 slugging, 773 OPS. So not a power hitter by any means, even in his best season, which was 2018. The OBP, though, is great, 367. The batting average, which I know some people don't really subscribe to or really care for, 296. Just 2 home runs, 40 RBIs, but 40 stolen bases. Oh my God, I'm telling you, that gets me going. 46 stolen bases in 2019. How about that? I love to see that. Obviously, his slash line really went down, though, in 2019. These are his cumulative stats from 2018 to 2019. So played in 275 games, 8 home runs, 77 ribbies, 261 batting average, 332 on base percentage, but the slugging is really just not good. 370 slugging, and that's why his OPS is sagging so much at 702. I mean, even if he was at league average, which I think 453, would have bumped him up by up to 780 OPS, and that's really good. I mean, not really good. League average for the most part, or good is like 800, but it would have been good enough to be like, all right, this is a guy you want on your team. OPS plus 94. We all know that these metrics, the OPS plus or ERA plus, they're based on a measure of 100. So if you're 100, your league average, anything that above that is a percentage above league average. So a 103 OPS plus would mean you're 3% above league average. This case, 94 OPS plus, he's 6% below league average as far as his OPS plus. So a little bit concerning there, but has great speed. And let's see how we did defensively in the field. We're just going to look at 2019. So 2019 as far as defensive runs saved, which you can see right here. Looking at him in center field in 2019 in 106 games, -15. We don't like to see that. That is not what you want to see right there. That's not good at all. Right field, -12. Oof, not good at all. He was 0 in left field, but I mean, for the most part, most people consider left field as the easiest position to play in baseball. So, he doesn't really sound like a tremendous outfielder. And I'll be honest, I really haven't watched him play much, so I can't, give you an account as, oh, I saw him make a diving catch, so he's really good. But based just on his numbers, like that's a little concerning to me. I don't really hold too much weight in the 2020 season, just like I don't hold the Dodgers as real champions. You didn't hear that from me. But 0 defensive runs saved in right field and center field in, it looks like, 15 total games. 3 in right field, or 3 in center field, 12 in right field. Yeah. So defensively, really probably not the answer, but the speed is great. You got to love the speed that he provides. So, I do love speed guys. And that's just, my personal feeling. I grew up watching guys steal bases. I know it's not a statistic or attribute that's held in as high regard as it used to be, but I will always think that stolen bases are important to a team. Mets fan from YouTube would probably disagree with me. He's a big metrics guy. He could probably tell me why I'm wrong, but I'm going with it. That's me. So let's get back to the chat section over here. Take a look. Patuator, love this guy. Patuator says speed and stolen base is really important to me. Okay, there we go. We got another guy. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I feel the same way. I've seen too many times where, a guy on the Braves, like Acuna or whatever, get on first base, steal second base, and then boom, base hit, they score. I guess at the end of the day, the guy would have went first, third, and probably scored anyway, and that's kind of the argument. But I still do feel controlling the run game is very important. Mr. Mojo Raisin, because Mets have more. Oh wait, we already went over that one. No, we didn't. Because Mets have more relievers and bench guys than available spots, could you see minor league options deciding who makes major league roster? Yes, yeah, I do. I had to think about that question. So, just to give you an example, the Mets designated Brad Brock for assignment the other day, and I 100% believe he's a better pitcher than Robert Gsellman. The reason they chose to DFA Brad Brock, however, is because Robert Gsellman has minor league options. Now, I'm not saying Gsellman's going to be in AAA play to start the year, or even at any point. I personally hope he is because I think he sucks. But the Mets now have the ability to say, you know what, you're going to the minor league, sorry. And he can't refuse it. So that was not the case with Brad Brock in case he came out of spring training with like a 13.5 ERA. He would have to be guaranteed a roster spot. Otherwise, the Mets would have to cut him and pay him his salary for 2021 while he plays for another team potentially. So, yeah, I definitely do believe that, minor league options will play a huge role in how people make the roster or get on the team. And, another case, that's one for the bullpen. Another case might be Luis Guillorme. I do believe Guillorme makes this team, but if for some reason the Mets do bring in some more bats that are major league caliber and have major league contracts, Guillorme might be the odd man out and get bumped to the minor leagues. And he has minor league options, so he could be sent down and he cannot refuse an assignment. So just not Josh Hamilton. Yeah, Josh Hamilton. You guys remember that guy? Sad story. Sad story. I mean, he's rich as fuck. He's really rich. Wait, can I say fuck? I don't know. Whatever. Let's see. What else we got here? Don't forget VR on the bench. Yep, you're right, Dispo. We already talked about VR, and he's going to be on the bench for this team. Second in stolen bases the past few years. Okay, is that league-wide, or is that for our team, for the Mets, that he's been second in stolen bases over there? If it's been for the year, I love that. That's awesome. Let me know in that comment section because I didn't read up on everything with VR. I just kind of looked at like his hitting stats, not like any of his stolen bases or anything like that. Yeah, and you know what, MG, like I guess that Pilar. I think Pilar being on a major league contract is definitely going to be a regular because we have no choice but to keep him on the major league roster the entire season. Otherwise, the Mets basically have to release him unless he accepts to going to the minor leagues, which I don't think he's going to because he's now, 32, 31? Either way, been in the big leagues for many years. Was a free agent just recently. The Mets are not going to be able to look at him and say, hey, man, sorry, you're going to have to go to the minor leagues. You're not playing so great this year. And he's going to say, okay, yeah. No, he's going to be released at that point. So, yeah, we're going to see a lot of Kevin Pilar, I think, this year in kind of like makeshift platoon with Brandon Nimmo. So, MG1 Luke Casey and Bull be a plus. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if you guys know, he has this pitch that he's basically created. It's a slurve and a curveball, or like a slurve and a changeup. It's called a churve, and it's a pitch that he's basically created that, no one else really throws. And he's pretty effective with it. His numbers with it are very impressive, and his metrics are. So a lot of the time when you have a guy that has that one really good pitch, but the other pitches aren't so great, they end up in the bullpen. So maybe Luke Casey does fare better in the bullpen. But at the end of the day, it's all going to matter about if they have a better option in the starting rotation than Luke Casey. If they have a guy like Yamamoto who just simply isn't cutting it in the rotation, they're not going to be able to keep Luke Casey in the bullpen. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Texas Rangers report by CFM, my guy. Another YouTuber right here, big Rangers fan. You guys should check out his channel. What's up, man? How the Mets are going to make any moves soon? I don't know, man. I thought the Mets would have signed Taijuan Walker by now. I thought they would have signed Trevor Rosenthal. I thought they would have signed Justin Wilson and Hand before that, and George Springer before that, and Bauer. We've kind of been burned this offseason a little bit. And, I am still taking a with this franchise. And I'm not too concerned about just this year's results. I believe in Cohen. I believe in Sandy Alderson building a winning team for many years to come. The farm system was in disarray. It was just an absolute on fire. So they're trying to build the farm system up, not make any crazy trades. The Lindor one didn't hurt us too much. And it's going to take a couple years, maybe 2, maybe 5. And, I believe in this front office and this owner. So don't really know if there's going to be a big move coming up soon. Would have thought that Chris Bryant or Chapman, if they were going to get traded, would have already. So I think for the most part, this is probably the team we're going to see until there's any midseason acquisitions on the trade deadline. I do expect the Mets to be very active in. Who it is, I don't know, but I fully expect that when this team needs something and Sandy Alderson comes to Steve Cohen is giving him the green light. He's going to tell him, yeah, do it. Whatever you got to do to make this team better, that will also not prevent long-term outlook of this team. And I do believe that we are in the right hands right now. So, Mets fan, I've been talking about you this whole time, man. I've been talking about you all night so far in the stream, telling them about metrics and about analytics, about Taijuan Walker, and how personally I didn't buy into a couple of, what I saw from Walker, but that you'd probably be able to explain it much better to me and convince me that it was a worthy signing. So we'll go over that together personally, just you and I. But guys, if you don't already sub to Mets Fan from YouTube, be sure to check him out. He could, Mets Fan from YouTube, post your link on the comment section over here, whatever side it's on, so they can check out your YouTube channel or your Twitter account. Great guy over here, really smart, really extremely well-spoken, great kid over here. And we do, like I mentioned, streams every Thursday night with Mets Fans on the YouTube channel, as well as Jolly Olive, Frank About Sports. Usually have a guest every week as well. So appreciate you checking in, my man. And he says he found his Mookie Wilson autographed ticket from the 1986 World Series Game 6, where he had his hit that went under Bill Buckner's legs. I'm sorry I missed that, man. I'm really sorry. You'll send me a picture on Twitter or show it on the next stream. I definitely want to check it out. And if you guys don't know, I showed him last week. I have a little puppy, German Shepherd, who's named Mookie after Mookie Wilson. So obviously Mookie, goes deep into my heart. So yeah, I'd love to see that, Mets fan. Let's see what else we got here. Mothman, you already know, man. I'm going to need a mod. Right now these are staying pretty low key. Haven't really got a whole lot of people in these, but I've seen you modded on the other one, I think, with Mets Fans Only. So yeah, I got you, man. Yeah, definitely going to need one soon. Hopefully, my channel starts getting a little bit bigger. Been trying to do more live streams. Just so you guys, are entertained and continue to collaborate and talk and all that. And, I want to hear from you guys. And if there is anything that you guys want to see in the future, please let me know in this comment section or, send me a DM on Twitter, Tony Metro MLB, so I can continue to make content that you guys enjoy and want to see. It's all about you guys. So Patchuator, I hope we get Walker and Green. Yeah, Green is just sitting out there for the plucking, man. I can't believe Shane Green is still a free agent. And, at this point, I don't even know who else is out there as far as free agent relievers, but just off the top of my head, is Shane Green the best? It probably is at this point. And I definitely think we need some more bullpen help. Put the pressure on Gesellman, dude. Make Gesellman have to earn that spot. And even if he does, put him in AAA, man. He needs to really earn a spot because the last 4 years, man, he's made the team almost every year out of spring training, and he's been shit. So I'm sick of Robert Gesellman. So that's just how I feel. And yeah, Mets fan from YouTube, we will definitely do a duo stream. I definitely would like to get deeper into analytics. I use them. I tried to put them into account in all of my arguments, all of my thoughts, and my evaluations, guys. But some of them are confusing, and I think you'll be able to do a much better explaining them to me and to our audience in the future. So we will definitely do that. Let's cool the casuals. I like that. I like it. All right, guys. Well, speaking of Mookie, my German Shepherd puppy, I got to take him out for a walk, so I'm going to end the stream right now. But I appreciate you guys checking in, being loyal subbers all the time. Let me know what your weekend plans are in the chat over here. I'm going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. One of my best friends is getting married, so bachelor party this weekend should be really fun. I promise I won't do anything illegal, but I can't wait to talk to you guys some more next week about the Mets and about Major League Baseball. And thank you guys again for checking in. I've been your host, Tony Metro. Peace.